For all we know, he could win the next 6 in a row. Like, who knows?
All right, let's put it this way: if he wins the next 6 in a row, or forget that, let's say he plays for another what? Because he's only been in the league like 3 or 4 years.
He's been a starter for I think 4 years now, or
Four
maybe
years.
maybe he's been a starter for three.
Okay, so he puts 15, 16 more years in, right? And in that time frame, wins six more rings. If you're
Yeah,
telling me that his resume of winning 7 rings and his loss was to Tom Brady is a blemish, I don't want to hear it because Tom Brady lost to Eli Manning 2 times in a row. If we're gonna use that dumbass logic, you know what I mean?
Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. Keep it real with him. Yeah.
Welcome everybody. What are we on now? We're on episode 4?
something like that.
Oh snap. 4 episodes in. Unpopular opinion. Again, I'm your host Jason Rivera, and we've got my co-host Beau Benson riding shotgun with me.
Did you see? Did you see they're doing a gritty Powerpuff Girls reboot on the CW?
No, I did not.
Yeah, dude. It's gonna be like 20-something-year-old Powerpuff Girls that are depressed because their childhood was robbed of them after they had to fight crime.
This is live action.
I think so, yeah.
No, thank you.
I
Go ahead and put that away.
like, dude. I think that was probably like a sketch or something on a comedy show, and it's actually coming to life.
That
It's.
you're
I
you
think it's
have
the
to
most
be
unnecessary thing that I've ever seen.
you have to be joking. You're not, this
No,
isn't
dude.
a this
It's
wasn't like you checked your source. Like this wasn't a
no, dude. It's real. It's a pilot ordered by the CW.
no thanks. Yeah, go ahead and send that one back. Trying to ruin our childhood? It's wild. Powerpuff Girls was fire.
uh,
But well, the Super Bowl. That wasn't
it
so
came,
super.
it came and it went, and that's my only thought on that game.
And that's the end of the show,
Yeah,
everybody.
that was the worst game. I think. I think that's the worst Super Bowl I've ever personally watched.
Mm, yeah, yeah, that was the worst one I've watched because it
Like it
wasn't.
was it was over in the first quarter. Like obviously we didn't really know it yet, but
Yeah,
like going
second
back, like
second quarter, it was stamped that it was over,
yeah,
and especially that last minute when they got that 21-3 lead, that was when
yeah,
it was officially done.
and it was like it was a classic Andy Reid Super Bowl. Like he gave the Bucks that touchdown, calling timeout when he didn't need to, and it was just yeah. I mean, should have known with Tom Brady being involved that that's how it was going to go.
No.
Like I was telling people like at halftime, just fast forward to the end with Tom Brady holding the trophy because that's where we're going.
Speaking of halftime,
Hold.
maybe the best part of the Super Bowl was the performers throughout.
Yeah,
I thought the weekend killed it. It was
yeah,
quite entertaining.
he was fine. Whoever someone screwed up his audio mixing for the first half of his performance, but after they fixed that, yeah,
Oh yeah,
he
it
was good.
sounded a little off, but I liked the visuals he had going on. That was pretty cool. And then
Yeah, no,
can we give a shout out to her and
yeah.
Jasmine Sullivan because they absolutely murdered.
They, you know what sucks though is like he put up 7 million of his own money for that halftime show and didn't get paid for his performance.
He didn't.
No, you don't get paid when you do the halftime Super Bowl show. You know it's they pay you in exposure, as everyone likes to hear.
Wow,
Yeah, isn't that something? It's pretty.
that's
That's trash.
that's super trash. It's a performance regardless.
Yeah,
I don't care what stage it's
yeah.
on. If you're at Madison Square Garden, like
Although, I mean, he did immediately the day after sell tickets to his tour next year, so maybe he cashed in.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think those ticket sales would have changed whether you did the Super Bowl or not.
Yeah.
Like, he's the Weeknd. It would make more sense if it was some unknown artist or like bubbling up artist that did the Super Bowl and they didn't pay them, and now they're gonna reap the rewards of, you know, having all that exposure. But the Weeknd, no,
Yeah.
come on, dog.
It's
that didn't really help him at all. Like, it's just another performance on the resume.
It's not ideal.
That's crazy. Well, other things that weren't ideal. A lot of people have been talking about the officiating in that game. And I personally don't feel like the officiating was the biggest factor, but it was a factor in it. Especially the PI and that last minute on Tyrann Mathieu on Mike Evans. And Brady pretty much just threw a Hail Mary that was nowhere near Mike Evans. Like, it was like 10 feet above his head.
It wasn't even catchable.
Yeah, it was targeted to the stands, and they called that PI, which put him on the goal line. I thought that pretty much sealed the game.
Yeah.
Going into halftime, 17-3 would have been a lot different from 21-3. And like I said earlier, for one, which kind of ruined the game a bit for me, and I mean, it is what it is, but the Chiefs' O-line was destroyed. And it was just ravaged by those injuries. There was no chance for Mahomes to do anything in the pocket, and to be down 21-3, all the Bucs had to do was send 4 and play coverage, and they were getting to Mahomes like nothing. And once the D-line can just pin their ears back and not worry about the run, that's a wrap. It was over as soon as that happened. I was just watching because I was hoping Patrick Mahomes could I was hoping some magic would happen and make it interesting, but it was hopeless from that point on.
Yeah, no, that was at halftime I had an issue with the referees because I don't know. It always feels like Tom Brady's teams are getting a little bit of extra help that they don't need. But then, like, after you watch the rest of the game unfold, it's like, oh yeah, no, it didn't matter. Like,
the Chiefs just weren't defensively. They weren't ready for it. Like,
yeah, no, I think that's the bigger story. Is like the Chiefs' defense was awful in that game.
Give Tom Brady all the credit in the world. I think this is like one of the few games this season where he put it together from start to finish. He was absolutely lights out all season, all game long. And which is what was needed for them to pull this out. But
yeah, I think he did like the expert game manager thing. Like, he never really put the Bucs in any danger with any of his throws. Like, he did the correct thing every single down. I think Fournette was the real game breaker.
Oh, he was killing it,
dude. He would, the Chiefs would, put a body on him on the line, and he would just bounce it outside and pick up 9 or 10.
Yeah,
like every time he had the ball.
What did he say on Twitter? He's a MF Super Bowl Lenny.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's just, it was yeah, the Chiefs just got whipped, man. Andy Reid showed his face again. Mahomes was out there doing everything he could.
He could.
Chiefs receivers in general had probably the worst game I've ever seen them have as a team.
Yeah, did not show up.
But it was just, I don't know. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a forgettable game, and it'll be that thing where it's like, yeah, remember when Tom Brady won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers? And you'll be like, oh, that's right, he did.
Yeah, when it's all 10 years from now.
Yeah, and I mean, I would be remiss to not mention how good the Bucs defense played. And I mean, in a real MVP type vote, it would have been like, split between Devin White and, like Antoine Winfield Jr. or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any issues with Tom Brady winning the MVP. It's like LeBron. If the team LeBron's on wins the finals, he's going to be the MVP, and it's the same thing with Tom Brady.
Yeah, that whole defense should have been the MVP, especially that D line. They were absolutely dominating them.
Play.
And I mean,
I think Mahomes was pressured on like 52% of his dropbacks or something like that. Like,
dude, he ran for 400 yards before he let the ball go. Fam was literally playing with like 260 overall linemen in the starting, and then as soon as he hiked it, bro had to like run backwards and try to survey the defense with the back of his head. Like, it was ridiculous. That I felt bad for him. He but I gained more respect for him out of that game. Like, I thought he was even his profile got bigger to me after watching that game. The throws that he was making under that sort of pressure, and his receivers weren't giving him anything to help.
Yeah.
You know, there were a few that went right off of receiver's face mask after he just juked 5 defenders, spun around and put on a Superman cape and flew 5 feet parallel to the ground and threw it. Like, it was ridiculous. He was as lights out as you can be in a bad performance.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Then we got one of the most, I think the most iconic image of that entire Super Bowl is him literally parallel to the ground throwing a pass, which ended up off of a teammate's face mask.
It's either that or Antoine Winfield Jr. giving Tyreek Hill the deuces. I lean that just because it's so funny, and so many people like got it their panties in a bunch about it.
Oh,
and I'm just like, yeah, no, like if Tyreek Hill had beaten him deep on a touchdown,
he would have
done the same exact thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I really don't care. Winfield Jr. he's a beast, man.
Yeah. I'm glad that we took a few days before we did this show, because if we had done this on Sunday night, I would have just been so angry. You know, like all I felt was anger, and not because the Bucks won, not because Tom Brady got his 7th ring, but just because I just felt robbed. I felt robbed of the game that we were supposed to get.
Yeah, no, it was a bad game. It was bad.
The Chiefs
it wasn't good.
The Chiefs' lack of preparation. They knew the O-line was bad, and to come in there with the arrogance like these backups are gonna just do the same thing that their starting O-line was gonna do was ridiculous. Like, I don't think I saw any extra protections for Mahomes.
No.
Like, they should have came out in that and left the defense unbalanced, but the Bucks knew exactly what the Chiefs were going to try to do, and the Chiefs were like, look, we're going to do what we've always done regardless of this situation, and the Bucks knew that, and it just played into their hands.
And I think the Chiefs expected Todd Bowles to like play his same game plan, and he didn't, and they did not adjust. It was just a bad preparation, bad everything from Kansas City. Shame on them.
Yeah, and it takes nothing away from the Bucks or Tom or anything. Like, they played an amazing game. They did what they had to do in the situation. You know, you don't expect someone to play down to the competition just because they're hurt. You know what I mean? Like, that's you're not gonna do that. So
yeah,
they did what they had to do. Todd Bowles had an amazing game plan to take advantage of that, and you know, it showed.
Yep.
But I felt robbed having that the O-line issues. I think even if he had his starting O-line in, I don't know if the Chiefs pulled the game out, but I think the game is a lot more competitive and a lot more compelling, because for sure Patrick Mahomes would have went tit for tat. They would have went touchdown for touchdown, and it would have been a crazy high-scoring game like we all would have wanted, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like we were kind of talking about during the game, like, I do think the change in travel probably affected the Chiefs early on in the game, but maybe it's different. I don't know.
I see your point in that, but
that was just a thorough undressing by the Buccaneers of the Chiefs. I don't know if there's really anything that would have changed that.
Yeah. I'll always point to that O-line though. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
he maybe would have gotten pressured on like 45 or 40% of his dropbacks, but nothing went right for the Chiefs that day.
It was literally hike and the line was blown up.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. Like, it wasn't even fun. It wasn't fun to watch unless you were a Buccaneers fan or a Tom Brady fan. It wasn't fun to watch.
No.
You know? And that's what sucked. Football's the ultimate team game, and there's so many parts that need to work. It's not like basketball where, there can be times where a player can be absolutely lights out and they can drop 82 points in a game. It's not,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not something that happens all the time. But look, it's a possibility that a team can just a player can just erupt and he can carry your team. In football, that's not the case at all. The
Nope.
quarterback can be as perfect as he possibly can, but if the O-line isn't blocking, if the receivers aren't getting the separation that they need, if they're not catching the ball when it's placed where it needs to be, if the defense isn't stopping the offense, you can't put up 1,000 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't blame a quarterback for losing when the defense gave up 30-something or 40-something points. It's the ultimate team game. And, I heard a lot of talk over the last 24 to 48 hours of how Patrick Mahomes now can't be in the conversation for the GOAT ever, which is a little early. That's early to even throw him in there now.
Yeah.
But, let's be honest. He is, at this moment, probably the greatest quarterback talent we've ever seen. The greatest quarterback package we've ever seen.
He's probably already at least on Aaron Rodgers level.
Yeah, easy. And it's silly to say that because I don't think that Tom Brady's greatness is because of the rings that he's won. I think in football it's so silly to try and judge somebody's greatness off of how many rings, because there are so many factors that come into winning when it comes to football.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, like I have no interest anymore in litigating Tom Brady's career. Like he's done it all, man.
He's a
legend. At
this
point,
he's a legend, and I think that's the greatest thing you can say. That's the greatest thing you can say about him is he's a legend.
Honestly, I think the only reason people hold out is because his undefeated team didn't finish the job. But Brady wasn't out there to stop David Tyree from catching the ball with his helmet, or Plaxico Burress from catching that fade in the end zone. He wasn't out there, and he still almost won that game. If Randy Moss doesn't drop a pass, he catches 99 out of 100 times.
And that is exactly my point when it comes to people's takes. Mahomes can't be in the conversation because he lost to Tom Brady. It's like, well, if we're gonna, for one, like you said, Mahomes can't block for himself, catch the ball, go play defense, and throw it. That's not how that works. And if Patrick Mahomes' only blemish, let's say he wins another 3, 4, 5 Super Bowls in impressive fashions and continues to put up the stats that he does, wins a few more MVPs, I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think that's a blemish, actually, for your only Super Bowl loss to be against the legend Tom Brady. If we were going to nitpick like that, Tom Brady lost to Eli Manning 2 times in the Super Bowl. And like you said, it was that perfect team that lost. We would knock him for that, but we're not even going to knock him for that. You know what I mean? That would be stupid. Silly. So I don't know. All that talk is just so I feel like people just do it for the clicks.
It's just
for
to
the
fill time.
Entertainment, but it's such a silly and stupid debate.
Yeah. It's all just filling time.
At the end of the day, the greatest quarterbacks to actually play the position are going to be Rodgers and Mahomes at this point. The most legendary quarterback and most decorated quarterback to ever live is always going to be Tom Brady, and that's it. Just like no one can ever stop no one could ever take away Michael Jordan's legacy for winning, going to the finals and winning 6 titles without a loss, without going to a Game 7. And let's be honest, if he hadn't retired, he might have rattled off 8. Who knows? It's like...
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's tough for me too, because Jordan has that perfect 6-0 record, but there are so many times where he just didn't make the finals.
Yeah.
So it's what's better or what's worse? I don't know. I just Brady's just, he's won so many for so long. I don't know. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff anymore.
I think the longevity, the same as with LeBron at this point, the fact that they're doing what they're doing at their ages, is remarkable. How many quarterbacks have we seen from that same era as Brady
Dude,
have just fallen off a
yeah,
cliff. Look at Drew
I think
Brees.
what Brady has won, I think like 4 more Super Bowls since Peyton Manning retired.
Yeah, and
I think that's ridiculous.
and
That's
listen, I
stupid.
don't like I said, the rings, who cares? Like, that's all great and all, but look, Tom Brady's arm, he hasn't fallen off. Does it have
No.
the same zip it had when he had Randy Moss in 07? Probably not, but it's not enough where you look at him and you're like, dang, he's falling off. Like,
If
he can't
he,
play quarterback anymore. Like,
yeah,
he's still a very high caliber quarterback at the age of 43.
yeah, if he needs it, he can chuck it deep. But yeah, I don't think he could I don't think he could run that '07 Patriots offense again. But he can still throw it deep. He's just too smart and been around too long. I honestly don't know when he retires, man.
I don't know if
He
he ever
definitely,
will.
yeah, he definitely looks like he could still do this for a couple more years at least.
I feel
It's
like he's
insane.
gonna try and push for 50.
That's, dude.
I from what I've seen of Tom Brady, from the way he talks, I think as long as an opportunity to win is within his grasp, he's always gonna play. And
Yeah,
if that leads him to 50, which will be another thing that he can put on his belt, which I think is that at this point, this is what he wants. Like, he wants to
yeah.
keep adding to his legend, and he's well aware of it. You know,
It's just nuts.
playing
And
at
I mean,
50 would be wild. And
yeah,
if he played a great season at 50, I can't, like,
I do want to mention that obviously Marty Schottenheimer passed away this week.
yes.
And he coached that '06 Chargers team that went 14-2. That was probably the best team in football that year, that lost to Tom Brady. And it's wild to think that the Chargers fired their head coach that went 14-2 and lost to Tom Brady because his kicker missed a field goal with 3 seconds to go.
Mhm.
That's just insane.
Was that the year with that was when they had Rivers and Tomlinson still, right?
Yeah.
And they had
I think it was like
was
Rivers' second or third year.
was that the ACL year or no?
No, that was the next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's just it's insane to me that he got fired because he lost to Tom Brady in the playoffs. It's sad, and of course, his passing is very very sad.
Yeah, that was a big loss for the NFL community. I like that moment of silence we had without having to say it. I might have to leave that in. I'm not even gonna edit that out.
No, you shouldn't. It's the whole point, man.
That was for you, Marty. But there's a couple more things I want to talk about. I thought it was amazing to see Gronk show up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know.
Like, bro has been like all season long, like, one catch, 30 yards.
Yeah.
No catches, a TD for, a one catch for 6 yards. And then in the Super Bowl, he just absolutely balled out. I like that AB came to work.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
I hope it
mean,
hurt every Steelers fan. Straight into the heart. You should have paid this man.
To be clear, Antonio Brown is garbage human being.
He's a wild one.
And yeah, no, it's just funny, man. Like, it's the whole as long as you make plays, people will have you on your team. I thought it was so funny that everyone thought that Antonio Brown would never get signed again. And then lo and behold, Tom Brady says, "Hey, you're going to sign Antonio Brown," and they do, and he catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Do you think that might have been part of Brady's reasoning for leaving New England?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Like,
Brady,
I don't think
I think
wanted.
Brady's biggest issue in New England was them not providing him with skill position guys that would help him.
Yeah,
and
well,
so
near
I
the
think he
end,
bounced.
yeah.
Like, their drafting has not been great in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know, like, Brady last year is almost an entirely different player from Brady this year in terms of, like, production And I think it really does have to rely on the fact that the Patriots just had no skill position guys.
Yeah, he had no one. I can't name a wide receiver they had outside of Edelman, other than Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah,
My
and
man
even
been
he did.
washed up for like 3 years
Yeah,
before that. So
they used a first rounder on N'Keal Harry, who hasn't done shit. So
yeah, their offensive, their scouting of offensive players hasn't been the greatest.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Once Antonio Brown, I understood them letting go of Antonio Brown at the time that they did, but once everything cleared up, I don't see why they wouldn't have went after him, and I'm sure that's probably what Brady was saying as
Well,
well. And they wouldn't do it.
I think the issue there is that nothing is cleared up with Antonio Brown. He still
Nothing
has
ever stops with Antonio
yeah,
Brown.
he still has issues that are going to get resolved eventually, I'm sure, but
I mean, let's be real. How many players do you think are like that? But
oh
we,
yeah, no,
we
that's
don't hear about it
I
or care about it because
I don't care. Like
they're
my
winning
baseball
football
team,
players.
my baseball team just signed Trevor Bauer, which has caused a civil war on Dodgers Twitter, but you know, like players, your favorite players are always going to have issues outside of the sport they play, but
I mean, look at
unless
Tyreek
it's
Hill. Wasn't he?
yeah,
Didn't he like
exactly.
beat his girlfriend or something a couple
Yep,
years ago, and no one cares now? You know?
kicked his pregnant girlfriend down the stairs, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
no,
No
it's
one gives a
especially in
yeah.
the NFL. Like, I mean, there's a difference between like sending bad tweets and like physical violence, and the
Yeah.
latter seems to always get glossed over in the
Or
NFL if you play
physical
well enough.
violence and kneeling for social
Yeah.
injustice. You know,
Yeah.
things like that.
It's a very sad dynamic that happens.
But what I liked the most about AB being there and showing out was just the fact that, you know, it must have hurt a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and
Yeah,
you know, that's always a positive.
couldn't happen to a worse franchise.
Oh man. Other football news. What we got? Carson Wentz might be on the move.
I think the funniest part of that is the idea that Nick Foles would be going back to the Eagles.
Why would anyone why wouldn't people want to just ride with Jalen Hurts? That makes no sense.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Hurts was good for a game, and then he was kind of whatever.
He was
But
cool.
I think
he was cool all those games.
I think he was good enough where you just kind of see what you have in him. I think Philly's trying to do the thing where like they start Jalen Hurts, but then like in week 13 they like leave a banana peel on the field and hope that he slips on it, and then they can just start Nick Foles for the rest of the year and try to win a Super Bowl.
Same thing they did to Wentz the last year. Foles.
It's so funny, the idea that someone who graded out as like the worst quarterback in football last year could go to the Bears. Like, oh man. It's a match made in heaven.
I think the only place that Wentz would fit, would actually have a chance at being what he was as an MVP, is if he went to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think that's where he ends up.
The best ultimately he's ever been was with Frank Wright, and yeah. I'm sure Frank Wright still believes in him, and they need a quarterback at this point. As long as Philly isn't trying to break the bank to, you know, trade Wentz, I don't think that's the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scuttlebutt is that they want what the Rams gave up for Stafford, and don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, Stafford and Wentz are not on the same level.
No.
That's
yeah, not at all.
Like Stafford wasn't a trash QB. He was a QB in a trash situation.
Yeah. I saw a stat that like Wentz got benched with 4 games left in the season, and he still led the NFL in sacks and turnovers. Like,
yikes.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Maybe he does just need a change of scenery, and I think the Colts would be the best possible place for him to go, just based on their offensive line situation and the added bonus of Reich as the head coach there.
Yeah,
but
I guarantee he'd turn it around if he went to Indianapolis, and people would be talking him up all over again if he went there. But
Yeah,
other than
and
that, I don't see success for him anywhere else.
no, especially not in Chicago.
No.
No way. No way. He would literally just be going to Philadelphia Central.
I'm telling you, the Chicago Bears have had such issues at quarterback. Like the only way they could possibly like turn that around is if like somebody like a Tom Brady just like chose to go over there. Like that's the only way. You would need someone who's already
Well,
established and legendary to go over there and just like fix your QB culture. Like fix your bad QB juju and then keep it, and then from there you go. Like that's the
I
only
guess
way.
someone had a report that I guess the Chargers and the Buccaneers were the only two teams that actually approached Tom Brady with the intention of signing him,
Yeah.
which is insane to me. Like, you're telling me San Francisco, who I guess Brady went to and said, "Hey, I would like to play for you," and the Niners were like, nah, we're good with Jimmy Garoppolo." Like, what? Are you kidding me?
I guess some people drink the Kool-Aid on his bad numbers. I mean, I could see last year, like we said, like he had nothing to throw to, and there was nothing in his game last year that said he's fallen off a cliff. All it said was he's got no one around him. If you don't have people running the right routes or getting separation, where are you gonna get those yards from? How are you gonna make those completions? How are you gonna get wins?
Yeah.
It's
Nah, I don't know. It's Tom Brady, man. Tom Brady approaches me, I don't stop to think about it. And I mean, honestly, it's hard to
there's maybe 5 teams that should say no to that. That's about it.
Yeah,
5.
and I don't think it's probably good that the Chargers didn't sign Tom Brady, because I don't think they win the Super Bowl with him, and they definitely don't draft Justin Herbert with Tom Brady on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably in the long run better for their franchise that they didn't do it. But yeah, like that's that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Tennessee should have went for Tom.
Hey man, they almost got Peyton back in the day.
Yeah. We almost got Jay Cutler.
Man, remember when Jay Cutler got traded and that was like the most shocking NFL trade?
Yeah.
Well, and then it looks like this offseason, like 14 quarterbacks are going to be on different teams next year.
Yeah, this the QB carousel is going to be a fun one.
Oh man.
Like it's going to be wild. We got to see where Wentz goes, got to see where Deshaun goes.
Yeah, I will say that this recent like chatter about Russell Wilson is the biggest bunch of nothing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, that's just
especially
Russell.
Especially you consider the source that it came from. Yeah, no thanks.
Who was the source?
Jason Lockenrongfa.
Oh, well, even if he was correct in the fact that Russell is upset about the Seahawks protecting him, I still wouldn't see it as anything. That's just, I mean, how many times have we seen a player go to the media, put a story out there about how they're unhappy about something so that their franchise will do something about it. That's about it. Like we've seen that 1,000 times. He's not gonna he's not gonna leave. That's not a possibility.
As much as I think that the Seahawks and Russell Wilson are a tad bit overrated, he's still he was one of the 5 teams that I didn't think should make a play for Deshaun Watson at the start of the offseason. Yeah. And here we are. And I still don't think that they'd even consider trading Russell Wilson.
Yeah, never. He is absolutely dynamic. He's with as little as he's had around him as far as weapons over the years and his protection. He's been running for his life for most of his career.
Yeah, and I think that's his biggest issue is like, get me some offensive linemen and, all that, but he's not actually leaving.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's silly. But that NFC West is wild, dude.
Oh yeah, it's going to be so much fun to watch next year.
Wilson, Murray, maybe Deshaun Watson.
Like overnight, Oh man, if the Niners get Deshaun Watson, that's a wrap, I think, on the division.
Yeah, it'll be the Rams will still win it, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, but that'll be it'll be a wild season. Like I'm just gonna be an NFC West fan, and like those are the only games I'm gonna watch are those four teams the
Yeah, no,
entire season.
it's so hard being a Rams kind of guy, but having to acknowledge that the 49ers are a quarterback away from like dynasty status.
Yeah.
It's tough. But hey, we'll see. No more Jared Goff. Which I'm still just like I still just wake up and think about from time to time.
It's so relieving to have the Goff off your back.
It's yeah, no. It's so good. And like over the weekend, Steelers fans getting their panties in a bunch over Aaron Donald winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh wow. Yeah, let's be honest. It's TJ Watt, right?
Yeah.
He's not facing three blockers and getting
he's not
those
getting
numbers.
triple teamed
He's getting
and having a win rate still high and still having a higher win rate than anybody else. Like, come on.
Aaron Donald has slightly lower numbers than TJ Watt, but dealing with the entire O-line trying to stop him specifically.
People do not understand positional value when it comes to like stats like that. Like TJ Watt is a great young player in the NFL, but Aaron Donald is the best non-quarterback in football.
Yeah, well, those are box score watchers, you know.
Yeah,
those casual box score watchers, they look at the stats and they think that that's what tells the story, but there's a whole lot more on the field that does. Like if Aaron Donald had a game where he only had 1 sack and 2 tackles, but if you go and watch the game, he changed a whole lot more than what his stats would suggest if that were the case. You know, like he's creating these matchups that allow his other teammates to get these sacks and allows, you know, blowing up the line. He could have 3 people on him and he doesn't get to the quarterback, but if he pushes those 3 people back far enough to pressure, you know, to get into the quarterback's face, you know, he just disrupted their play. Like there's so much more that goes into it that, you know, these box score watchers don't pay attention to.
The Rams have a chance to like pay defensive ends like $1 million a year and then watch those guys get like 12, 13 sacks and then go get paid by somebody else and just cycle guys through each year, because they did it with Dante Fowler and they did it again with Leonard Floyd. Like, I think you could probably bring like Sean Merriman or Jared Allen back from their, you know, 6-year, 7-year retirements that they're running on, and Aaron Donald could probably get those guys 10 sacks.
Oh, easy. It's so much attention that has to go to him. It, like, those linebackers must love him. Like the linebackers, the other defensive ends and tackles, like they must love him because they get to run free while he's taking all of the attention away. And you know, that's why the Rams are gonna win the Super Bowl next year. I don't know.
It's a hot take.
That defense is too nasty, see. And they just got a quarterback.
We'll see if the defense is worse or better now that they lost their coordinator.
Well, they've had a pretty solid defense they've had the same coordinator all those years.
Well, they had Wade Phillips for a while, and then he kind of got stale. So McVay brought in Brandon Staley, and then Staley obviously just got hired by the Chargers.
Right.
And so they brought in, what's his name? Raheem Morris, I believe, from the Falcons.
Yeah.
Well, but we'll see. I mean, they've got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. They've got the foundation.
The Falcons' defense wasn't something that anyone would want to brag about being on that staff, but
I think they got
nobody.
I think they got better once. I think they actually got better once Morris took over the team too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, their best player can never stay healthy. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I think they have the pieces that it almost doesn't matter.
It's a lot. Yeah, no, it's a lot like what happened with the Buccaneers. Like, the Rams their defense would get put in awful situations a lot because McVay or Goff would turn the ball over. Just like the Buccaneers defense would get put in terrible situations because Jameis Winston was out there throwing 30 interceptions a year.
Mm,
So it's easy to look better when you're not getting put on short fields all the time.
right. So we'll see what happens. I think they're still gonna be great though. I mean, when you have Aaron
Yeah.
Donald and you have Jalen Ramsey,
They're I think worst case scenario they're like a top 10 defense.
yeah, easily. And that offense I think is gonna be dynamic.
Yeah.
Seeing McVay's offense with somebody that he actually wants, that can actually do what he wants, he envisions his offense to do, is gonna be a fun, just so much fun to watch. You know.
It's going to be different than people expect, I think.
But yeah, the future is bright in LA when it comes to football.
Yeah.
Might have to trade in this Titans hat for some LA hats.
You don't want to do that.
No, I never traded in. They got my heart in they're too fly, bro. Like, just look at this, bro. Get that Chris Johnson jersey in the back. It's just flames. You know, I can adopt the second and third team, home team.
That's true. I mean, look, I think we had this discussion, but it doesn't matter. Whatever anyone else thinks is inconsequential to what you think. So live your life, man.
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna get bullied by people telling me that I'm not loyal.
Who cares?
That's true.
They're all dorks.
Oh man, Derrick Rose went to the Knicks. And that's it for NBA news.
Yeah, no, hey, listen. Anytime you're a young team that needs to develop RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, the best thing to do is trade for Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
That's God, dude. I saw that, and my first reaction was like, wasn't he already a Knick before?
Yeah. Remember when he just got lost when he was pushing he was pulling on a push door.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of wherever place he was in and just missed the game.
Yeah. No, no thoughts on that.
Honestly, okay. I don't think it's that bad.
It is what it is.
Derrick Rose isn't gonna be there forever. I think they just want to make sure that they get into the playoffs, that they put out a winning product, and right now they're pretty competitive, and they are missing a point guard. I don't think you throw Quickly in there right now as a starter. Let Derrick Rose go out there and start for the year, and in next year give it to Quickly. I don't think Derrick stays there forever. He's not gonna be there for 5 years. Yeah, max, he's gonna be here for this year and next year, and that's it.
Yeah. It's an okay thing. LeBron's playing 40 minutes a game right now. That concerns me.
Yeah, but it intrigues me all the same. Like, he doesn't look like he's ever gonna slow down.
No.
Bro's playing more minutes than a lot of these youngsters and still putting it down. Like, how is he still getting better? I saw he had a statistic. Someone pointed out that I think almost his 3-pointers are a career high. And there are a few more stats that are higher than some of his best seasons. Right now.
It's ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense.
I think the fact that LeBron has been able to just evolve his game.
He's just turned into a 3-point shooter.
Dude just straight pulls up all the time. He went from just let him shoot the 3. That was literally San Antonio's game plan against him in the very, very first finals they played when he was in on Cleveland, and even when they were playing against him in Miami. Let him shoot from deep, and whatever happens.
Yeah.
And now you can't do that.
No. It's nuts. You couldn't even really do it back in, what was that, 2012 or whatever? Because I remember they sagged off him on that final possession, and he just nailed that mid-range jumper.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't as efficient as he is now, but he
yeah,
could hit it better than he could like
at the start of his career.
The 07 year, the 07 finals. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like,
it's just nutty.
He's constantly improving, constantly making players better. I don't know. What else? The Jazz are looking nice. Still.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's looking like a pretty complete team, and I'm really hoping that they slip up at some point so that they beat the Clippers before they get to the Western Conference Finals. Just because I don't want the Clippers to ever get to the Western Conference Finals.
No, it's too funny. We kind of, I think we may have as a society, a collective society, I think we may have overrated the Clippers a little bit to start the year, because they didn't play anybody. And if you're gonna sit there and be like, well, the Lakers haven't played anybody, then you got to do the same thing for the Clippers, because they really hadn't played very many guys until this last few weeks here.
That's why I'm really impressed with like what the Jazz have been doing so far. If you look at who they've played, and it's been early in the season, and things have been a little wonky, but they have been beating quality teams, throughout. Even when these quality teams have started to turn it around, Denver was trash in the beginning of the season. They've been pulling it together, and I think the Jazz beat them like 2 times in a row, like in a little back-to-back series. It's they've been beating everyone who's good, and I think that's very encouraging if you're a Utah fan.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they've shot the 3 exceptionally well, which is bound to regress, but they might.
I don't know if it happens that if it regresses that hard.
Yeah, it all depends.
But yeah. Oh, you know what? It would be cool if the Lakers Clippers end up 2-3. I think that would be funny to watch too. In the second round, the Lakers take out the Clippers.
Yeah, I need the Lakers to take out the Clippers with Montrezl Harrell like having a game-winning block or something like that.
Yeah, just playing outstanding.
It was so defense. Funny all off season to hear like how he was unplayable against the Nuggets and everything. And just no one stopped to think that maybe the Lakers wouldn't ask him to guard Nikola Jokic one-on-one like the Clippers and Doc Rivers did.
Yeah, it was Montrezl Harrell coming to the Lakers. I thought he was going to be amazing because having AD behind him, that would change everything. He didn't have a real center in on the Clippers side of Staples Center. They didn't have a center. He was their center. He was their best center. And being able to play him, especially in the playoffs is going to be wild because that's when AD is going to want to, he's going to let the coaching staff put him at the 5 more.
He's going to need to do that.
And Harold can play the 4 now with AD helping behind him, or Harold helping behind AD. It takes the pressure off of him.
No, he's been good. He's been good. I've enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah, but it's been outside of the Super Bowl. It's been a pretty dry week, I'd say.
Get ready, man, because this is sports for the next 6 months.
We're gonna have to start. Like I said, last episode, you're gonna have to break down every game for the week.
Hopefully, we get real NFL training camp. That would be ideal.
Yeah, but I mean,
we can do a full mock draft.
There we go. That's what I was gonna say. We could get into the draft game. We could get into there's some things I could dig up some good topics to get the show rolling.
We'll pull some film.
Yeah, we'll get something together. I got the highlight page. We can start pulling that out a little more now that we'll be talking more NBA, and maybe we just do some breakdown, dude. Who knows? Start educating the people. I feel like that's
what we need to do. talk about the football game and The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
Bane blows up the field.
All right. Well, thank everyone for listening, watching, whatever, however you're getting your
tuning in
your content, tuning in. It's been fun. 4 weeks, 4 weeks of episodes. This has been good. But we'll keep digging up this content and try to keep it as non-clickbaity as possible. All right, everybody. Peace.
See you guys.
Bearded king first. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. We the best of the best. Not too many top-notch podcasts left. We don't even need much time to prep. Never ever know what we gon' do next, but real recognize real, you see. So please tell me that you're feeling me, cause I can smell jealousy from a mile away. And there's no space for that on the show today. Might hurt a couple feelings, but so what? It'll be a good story to tell when we blow up. Try to shut us down, you gon' have no luck. Cause we locked in, then we tryna get the whole cut. So just vibe, look alive, pay homage, we arrive. We ain't going nowhere, so fall back. Legendary anthem like Left Eye and all that. Unpopular opinion, I'll swagger on a million. Immaculate civilians, adapting like chameleons. Be cautious in our dominion. Banks all around us on Vivian. Taking off like balloons filled with helium. Got cheese and bread, Sicilian. Unpopular opinion, unpopular opinion, unpopular opinion, unpopular opinion, unpopular opinion.